Did you know that a large percentage of IELTS test takers struggled with interpreting bar graphs accurately? And what saddens me the most is that even after attending various coaching classes and watching different videos on YouTube, they still don't receive the perfect advice on how to respond to a bar chart question. And I can guarantee that within the first 2 to 3 minutes of this video, you will realize that you're about to learn something new today, something that you might not have been taught before. And before you say, "Oh, I can't understand English and yet he made another video in English," let me tell you one hard truth. If you want to pass the IELTS exam, stop wasting your time watching videos in your local language, because this is going to be a total waste of time. And I am telling you this from my own experience. The moment I realized that I need to listen to English, read English, write English, and speak English to learn English, I improved my English significantly. So feel free to turn on the subtitles and watch the video until the end if you want to learn about the bar graphs. In this video, I will be teaching you everything that you need to know about the IELTS writing bar chart related questions. So firstly, I will show you what IELTS bar chart questions are. I'll show you how to interpret data on x-axis and y-axis. Then I will show you how to paraphrase the statement. A lot of the students struggle in paraphrasing the statement. I will show you how you can actually divide the statement into different parts and paraphrase it easily. Then I will share with you how to write a clear overview. I will give you a clear 3-step strategy of writing a clear overview so that you will always feel confident about how to write a clear overview. And then I will show you how to systematically and logically organize the information in the body paragraphs. Students generally struggle that what to write in the 3rd body paragraph and what to write in the 4th body paragraph. I will teach you exactly how to pick the information, what you need to write in the 3rd body paragraph and what you need to write in the 4th body paragraph. And finally, I am going to give you my secret tips that will help you achieve band 7 or higher on IELTS Writing Task 1 at the end of the video. So you don't want to miss even a single second of this video. Watch this video until the end so that you can get to know everything that you need to know to do well on the IELTS Writing Task 1, specifically bar chart related questions. So grab a notebook and pen and let's dive right in. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Now let's get started. Welcome IELTS champions. If we haven't met yet, my name is Simar and I am your go-to English language teacher for the IELTS exam preparation. With my fancy Cambridge CELTA certification and a solid band 9 across all modules under my belt, you can trust that you are in good hands. I have been trained by both British Council and ITP. With over a decade of experience, I specialize in turning your dreams of scoring a band 7 or above into reality. Let's start by understanding the Academic Writing Task 1 question prompt. This is the task that we will be using for today's video. This task has been taken from Cambridge IELTS 17, and this is the type of IELTS question that you will get on the real exam. So let's analyze this question together. So here's what you will get in the exam. You should spend 20 minutes on this task and then you will have the question prompt. In this case, it is: the chart below gives information about how families in one country spend their weekly income in 1968 and in 2018. And then you will have the actual question prompt. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. Write at least 150 words. Now, I want you to focus on the key instruction here, which is summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So this is your success mantra. I want you to pause here and think about it what does this mean? So this is exactly what the examiners are expecting from you. So in my experience of over 15 years, I see a lot of students fail on the IELTS exam because they don't fully grasp this statement. So let's dive in. What does this actually mean? So let me break that down into smaller parts for you to understand. So first it says summarize the information. This means you need to give a short overview of what you see in the chart or graph. Think of it like telling a story to a friend in which you are just telling them the main points. And next it says selecting and reporting the main features. So here it means you're picking out the most important parts in the chart. So you're basically pointing out the big important parts of the chart and talking about them. So you don't want to talk about everything that you see. Finally, it says make comparisons where relevant. So comparisons means looking for similarities or differences between the things. Where relevant means where it's important or makes sense. So what it really means is that you're not expected to write everything that you see in the chart or graph. You're only expected to summarize the information. So you see the information and select and pick what is important and what's not important. So putting it all together, when you're writing your answer, you want to give a quick summary of what the chart shows, point out the big things you see, and talk about how they are similar or how they are different. This helps the reader understand the main points of the chart without getting lost in too many details. Now let's take a look at a bar graph or bar chart and see how we can interpret it. So obviously you will see x-axis and y-axis on all the bar charts that you will see. So there will be some sort of information on x-axis and there will be some sort of variables on y-axis. Here we have y-axis, which represents the categories or groups being compared in two different years, 1968 and 2008. And these categories could be things like, food, housing, transportation, etc. And on the x-axis, we have numerical values being measured. So which is the percentage of weekly income spendings on these categories mentioned on the y-axis. So for example, if the y-axis category is food, the x-axis will show the percentage of weekly income spent on the food for each year. So each bar in the chart represents data for a specific category, with the length or height of the bar corresponding to the value being measured. So the taller the bar, the higher the percentage of weekly income spent on that specific category. Alright, now that you understand what the question is, let's dive into the format for writing a Band 9 response. So you'll want to structure your response into 4 paragraphs in total. Here's how you can do it. So the first paragraph is your introduction paragraph. Start by paraphrasing the question prompt. Keep it concise and to the point. This paragraph should only contain the paraphrase statement. No additional details are required. I can't stress this point enough. No additional details. The next one is overview paragraph. In this paragraph, provide a general overview of the main features of the data presented in the chart. Remember, there should be no figures in the overview. Focus on significant changes such as highest, rise or fall to broadly inform the examiner about the main features. The next one is specifics and comparisons for paragraph 3. The third paragraph is where you delve into specific details from the chart. Think about what details you want to put in the third paragraph and what you want to put in the fourth paragraph, so that your report has a smoother flow and is easier for the reader to follow. So my advice is, generally you can have the highest and the lowest data in the third paragraph and the remaining data in the fourth paragraph. Now I'm not saying that that's the fixed rule. This is just one way of making the paragraphs, but I'll talk about this in more detail as we will go into writing the actual chart. Similarly, in the fourth paragraph, provide some details that you haven't talked about in your paragraph 3 and you can even expand on the trends mentioned in the third paragraph and provide some additional insights into the data. So by following this format, you will be on your way to writing a strong and cohesive response that demonstrates your ability to analyze and interpret data effectively. Alright, now that you understand the task, let's write the perfect band 9 response together for this task, following the same structure. So first thing first, let's learn to paraphrase the statement. Paraphrasing is a crucial skill in task 1 of the IELTS writing exam, as it demonstrates your ability to understand and restate information in your own words. When paraphrasing a statement like the one provided, it's important to focus on retaining the original meaning while using the different words and sentence structures. One approach to paraphrasing is to break the statement down into key components and then rephrase each part separately. Let me teach you how you do that. Let's have a look at the example. The chart below gives information about how families in one country spent their weekly income in 1968 and 2008. So the key elements here are: a chart below gives information about how families in one country spent their weekly income in 1968 and 2018. Now that you know that there are 5 key elements of this statement, I want you to paraphrase all these elements separately so that their meaning is retained. So you are not changing the actual meaning of these 5 elements. So let's start with our first element, which is the chart below. Let's change it with the provided chart to maintain clarity. Then we can rephrase gives information about to illustrates or depicts. Then we have how families in one country. It can be rewritten as households within a single nation. And then we have spent their weekly income. Let's change it with utilized their earnings on a weekly basis. So finally we have in 1968 and 2008. Let's change it with across 2 different years, 1968 and 2008. So by applying these substitutions, we have successfully paraphrased the original statement while preserving its actual meaning. So practicing this skill will help you effectively convey information in your task 1 response with clarity and precision. Remember that there is no one way to paraphrase a statement. You can paraphrase one statement in many different ways. So if I want to paraphrase the same statement in more than one ways, I can do that. But I want you to pause this video for a few seconds and paraphrase your statement. Then I will share some more examples with you. Alright, I hope you guys have already posted your paraphrase statements in the comment section. So well done with that. So here are some more examples. So the bar chart compares the average weekly spending of families in one country between 1968 and 2018 across various categories. The bar chart provides details on the allocation of weekly income by families in a particular country for the years 1968 and 2018. The next one is the graph illustrates how families in one country distributed their weekly income across various categories in 1968 and 2008. So there's another way. The chart depicts the spending patterns of families in one country, showing how their weekly income was spent in 1968 compared to 2018. Now let's move on to writing the overview. But before we begin that, let's understand why writing an overview is so important. So to understand that, let me show you what IELTS writing marking criteria reads at band 7. So it says, presents a clear overview, the data are appropriately categorized and main trends or differences are identified. So a good overview is crucial because it helps the examiner see that you can actually identify and summarize the main points effectively. So this can make a big difference in your score. So here are the 3 key steps of writing a clear overview. Remember, by following these 3 steps, you will be able to write a clear overview for any IELTS writing task. So please follow the step-by-step process of writing that clear overview. So step 1, start with an introductory phrase. So first we need to start our overview with an introductory phrase. So this signals to the reader that we are providing a summary of the main points. So common phrases include are overall, in general, on the whole. My favorite is overall, so I am going to use this for our task. Step 2. Identify the main trends. So we need to identify the main trends or significant changes in the data. Look at the chart and ask yourself, what are the most noticeable changes? In a bar graph like this, always think, what are the significant increases or decreases? So in our example, the main trends are decline in food expenditure and the rise in spending on housing, transport, and leisure. Step 3. When writing the overview, use specific language to describe these trends. Avoid vague statements. For example, instead of saying some categories increased, specify which categories increased. So in our example, we said the expenditure on food experienced a noticeable decline, and the portions of weekly income devoted to housing, transport, and leisure rose considerably. So what's our final overview then? Let's have a look. Overall, the expenditure on food experienced a notable decline from 1968 to 2018, while the portions of weekly income devoted to housing, transport, and leisure rose considerably. So like I said earlier in the paraphrasing the statement part, there are multiple ways of writing a statement. So similarly, there are multiple ways of writing an overview. So I want you to pause the video here and write your own overview. You can choose to report the same things that I have reported in my overview, or you can choose to report some different things. But make sure you report the most significant things that you can see in this bar graph. So after you've posted that comment, I will share some more examples with you. And don't cheat here. I want you to pause the video here and write your overview in the comment section. Alright, let's look at some more examples. In general, there was a marked decrease in the amount of money spent on food between 1968 and 2018, with significant increases observed in spending on housing, transport, and leisure. Over the period from 1968 to 2018, spending on food significantly decreased, whereas the allocation of weekly income for housing, transport, and leisure saw a substantial growth. Alright, now our next part is writing the body paragraphs. It's important that the information and ideas are logically organized and there is clear progression throughout the response. So this helps the examiner follow your argument and see the connections between your points. So to achieve this, we need to brainstorm what we want to write in body paragraph 3 and what we want to write in body paragraph 4. So to do that, let's see what increased, what decreased, and what remained the same in the data. So this step will help us organize our body paragraphs effectively. So let's have a look at the bar chart and see what increased. So between 1968 and 2018, from our chart, we can see that housing expenses nearly doubled from 10% to just under 20%. Leisure spending increased from about 9% to nearly 14%, and transport expenses rose from 7% to 14%. Now let's identify the decreases. So food expenditure dropped significantly from 35% to around 17%. Expenditure on clothing and footwear decreased from 10% to 5%. Expenditure on personal items decreased from 8% to just over 4%. And fuel and power cost also experienced a slight decrease of almost 2%. Now, what remained same? That's our final step. So we can clearly see that expenditure on household goods remains stable at approximately 7%. Now, what in third paragraph, what in fourth paragraph? So one way of paragraphing could be writing all increases in one body paragraph and decreases in another body paragraph. and what remains same can be written in either of them. The other way of paragraphing could be focusing on what significantly increased and what significantly decreased in one body paragraph and what's remaining the other body paragraph. And this approach helps to ensure that your report has a smoother flow and is easier for the reader to follow. This is what I am going to do. So let's write our report. So this is my body paragraph 3 and body paragraph 4. So body paragraph 3 has the highest and the lowest, like I said, and the most significant increases and decreases, and body paragraph 4 has what's remaining. 1968, food accounted for the largest share of weekly income, comprising about 35%, but this drastically decreased to around 17% by 2018. Meanwhile, housing expenses nearly doubled from 10% in 1968 to just under 20% in 2018, indicating a substantial increase in housing costs over a 50-year period. Leisure spending notably increased from about 9% to nearly 14%, while transport expenses rose from 7% to 14%, indicating higher outlays for both recreational activities and transportation. Conversely, expenditure on clothing and footwear as well as personal items were halved, decreasing from 10% to 5% and from 8% to just over 4% respectively. Fuel and power cost experienced a slight decrease of almost 2%, and expenditure on household goods remained stable, maintaining at approximately 7%. What you may have seen, what I have done here is I have tried to ensure that I'm not repeating the same words, and I have tried to ensure that I'm not repeating the same sentence structures. And you're gonna ask me how I can achieve that. I mean, my response is gonna be only one thing to you. Just practice, practice, practice. Read more so that you can familiarize yourself with different sentence structures. As you see a different sentence structures, just write that sentence structure down and try to implement that sentence structure when you're writing your task 1 reports or even task 2 for your IELTS writing. The more you practice, the better you get at it when you're writing your IELTS writing exam. So let's recap what we have done. So in the body paragraph 3, we discussed the significant increases and decreases. In body paragraph 4, we covered the remaining trends, including what stayed the same. So we used the transition words to guide the reader smoothly through our analysis, and I think this helps the reader that why we have kind of organized our ideas in that way. I hope this will help you do your task 1, especially the bar chart, in a better way. Before we wrap up, let me give you some final tips for writing about bar charts. So tip number 1, no figures in the overview paragraph. So never write any specific figures in your general overview paragraph. The overview is meant to give a broad summary of the main trends or features without getting into the specific details. Like I said, think of it as giving the examiner as a general idea of what the data shows without overwhelming them with numbers right away. Just refrain from writing any figures or numbers in that. You can have a look at the way we have written up overall in our example, just what increased significantly, what decreased significantly, and no figures. Tip number 2. Analyze the task and plan comparisons. So the second tip is to spend some time analyzing the task before you start writing. Look at the chart carefully and identify how you're going to make comparisons. Determine what key features you will be reporting. Remember, this is your task and this is what the examiner is expecting from you. They don't want you to simply write down all the data. You're expected to summarize and pick the main points and make relevant comparisons. And the steps for doing that is identify significant increases or decreases, note any categories that remain same, plan how to group these observations into different body paragraphs. So instead of just listing every detail, focus on major trends such as, what's increased, what's decreased, what remained same, and then make comparisons with the figures. Tip number 3, vary your language. So you don't want to write the same words over and over again. Use different words each time you write a new sentence. This shows the examiner that you have a good range of vocabulary and can express ideas in various ways. For example, instead of always saying the word increase, you can use the word rise, grow, climb, went up. Similarly, instead of using the word decrease, you can say fall, drop, decline, fell down, in order to show the examiner that you have variety of language. Tip number 4, vary sentence structures. Examiners want to see that you can write different types of sentences. This includes simple sentences, compound sentences, and complex sentences. So, like I said, just practice writing different sentences. Wherever you see a different sentence structure, just write that sentence structure down, and you would be able to practice and apply that in your own writing exam. You can see that I have used different sentence structures in my task as well, and this shows the examiner that I can actually write the ideas in different types of sentences. By following these tips, you will be better prepared to write a clear and well-organized response to your bar chart questions in IELTS Writing Task 1. Keep practicing and you will see improvement in no time. Remember, every time you practice, you're one step closer to achieving your goal. Writing well takes time and effort, but with determination and the right strategies, you can master it. Stay positive and keep pushing forward. If you found this video helpful, please like and share it with others who are preparing for the IELTS exam. And don't forget to subscribe to Crack IELTS with Simar for more tips and strategies. Together we can crack the IELTS. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.